Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's training industry product demo, Discover the CPTM Advantage Q&A with Alumni. I'm Sarah Gallo, Senior Editor here at Training Industry, and I'm happy you could all join us for today's event. Before we get started, I'll go over just a few housekeeping items to help you get the most out of your time with us today. Throughout today's event, please feel free to use the chat and interact with our speakers and your fellow attendees. You can also submit your questions for our speakers today using the Q&A function within your Zoom toolbar. We'll address your questions during the Q&A portion of today's event. We also encourage you to share your key takeaways from today's event with your network on social media. Make sure to follow the Twitter handle on your screen. That's Training Industry Inc., and the hashtag TI webinars to share your thoughts with your network. When today's event ends, you should receive a short evaluation survey. We always welcome your feedback on things like content, speakers, topic, anything else you would like to share with us. So make sure to complete that survey after the event. As always, today's demo will be recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you'll receive a follow-up email from us with a link to share the on-demand program with your colleagues who couldn't make it today. If you have attended one of our webinars or demos in the past, thank you so much for joining us again for today's event. And if this is your first event with us, a special welcome goes out to you. Here at Training Industry, we offer dozens of webinars and demos on timely topics like AI, onboarding, upskilling. We cover just about every topic relevant to leaders of training organizations around the globe. And with that, without any further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce two of the speakers we have with us today from the Training Industry Courses team. We have Marissa Shapiro, a certified professional in training management and director of professional development here at Training Industry. And with us, we have Peter Bodine, a certified professional in training management, director of professional development, and your alumni advocate here at Training Industry. So with that, Marissa and Peter, the floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I am just pulling some stuff up right here. All right. I want to say hello, welcome everyone to our Q&A session, Discovering the CPTM Advantage, and thank you again to Sarah, as she mentioned. My name is Marissa Shapiro, and I am one of the directors of professional development here at Training Industry. And my job is to talk to L&D professionals from all different levels of experience, all different industries, and discuss their professional development goals and determine what kind of courses and tools are available to them and help them upskill and advance in their roles.
Hey everyone, as Sarah mentioned, I am the other Director of Professional Development at Training Industry, as well as the Alumni Advocate. My role as Director of Professional Development is the same as Marissa's, in that we work closely with learning professionals to help them understand our program offerings and consult with them on these programs and how these programs can support their success as learning leaders within their organizations. I'm excited to be here with all of you today.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited. But before we begin with our Q&A with alumni, we would really like to give you a fuller picture of what going through the CPTM program entails. And before we talk to our panelists, I would like to formally introduce the certification to you for those who are maybe not as familiar with it. The Certified Professional in Training Management Program, or CPTM, is the only certification specifically focused on the role of the training manager. It's designed to equip you with the skills, tools, and knowledge needed to strategically align training needs and business goals. The program emphasizes core competencies that allow you to demonstrate your expertise in training management, speak the language of learning, and drive change across your organization, granting you access to a global community and continued support.
Thank you, Marissa. Now that you have a sense of what the CPTM program offers, I briefly want to discuss a bit of the history to give you a deeper understanding of its foundation and objectives. The CPTM program is built on over 15 years of ongoing research into understanding the role and function of a learning leader in their organization. What our research showed us is that the role of the training manager is critical to an organization's success, but more importantly, we discovered that there weren't many tools, resources, or opportunities available to help training managers run their programs and align their responsibilities with the business they serve. That realization led us to collaborate with Pearson Learning to design a curriculum specifically for training managers, a program that will equip them with the tools they need to effectively manage the business of learning. Another result of the research is the training manager competency model, which you can see here. This highlights the 7 core responsibilities and foundational leadership competencies that are essential for success in training management. Marissa is going to let you know a little bit more about how the research fits into the curriculum.
Yeah, so the research also breaks down the 8 process capabilities of high performing training organizations. With a focus on these core competencies and responsibilities, the CPTM program offers you an understanding on how to apply those principles while aligning your L&D plan to your organizational goals. So the research is laid out through learning objectives in the program, and they'll really take a deep dive as you kind of begin your certification process. So here's a look at the learning objectives. These represent the content for each of the 10 pre-work modules, which form the first step of the certification process. So certification is going to involve a 3-step process. And just before we move on to our panel to talk about post-certification impact, Peter is going to take a quick look at what going through certification is like.
Sure. So just like Marissa said, it is a 3-step process, and the first portion of that is the pre-work modules. These modules are entirely virtual and self-paced. They typically take between 40 to 60 hours to complete. This is why we recommend when registering, choose a practicum that's at least 4 to 6 weeks out from the day that you register. The goal is to finish the pre-work before moving on to the practicum. And the second step is the practicum, and that's a live virtual instructor-led session. This part focuses on applying the competencies you learned from the pre-work to real-world scenarios. It brings together other L&D professionals from all sorts of industries and backgrounds and perspectives, and you'll collaborate with them and learn from one another during this portion. Finally, the third step is the certification exam. This is a virtual, self-accessed, non-scheduled, and non-proctored exam. One has 2.5 hours to complete 100 multiple choice questions. To pass, you need a score of 70% or higher. The great thing is as soon as you submit your exam, you get your results immediately, so you'll know whether or not you passed right away. A lot of people I connect with, and I'm sure Marissa as well, worry about the exam, and those concerns are usually alleviated after they learn that everything we do leading up to the exam is designed to prepare you for it. That's why we have an over 85% pass rate on the first attempt. If you don't pass the first attempt, you get a second attempt at no additional cost. Plus, we reach out to you with guidance on which modules to review so you're better prepared for that next attempt. Once you pass, you officially join our alumni network and gain access to a community of learning leaders.
Yeah, and before we dive too far into the benefits, I do actually want to stop here and highlight this network. Because we understand that L&D professionals come from really diverse backgrounds, we don't require any prerequisites to become a CPTM. And while many CPTM candidates currently lead or aspire to lead training departments, others come to L&D and our community from backgrounds such as operations or consulting, working internally or externally with the organization. And each one of these backgrounds contributes a unique experience to managing the training function and really enriches the alumni community after certification. And so now I'm getting off topic, right? Love our community. So once you certify, passing the exam, you're admitted into the alumni network, and that is going to contain a lot of the alumni benefits. And I am definitely going to let Peter share those benefits with you.
Sure. Yeah. So like Marissa said, there's a lot of great benefits that you'll gain access to once you complete the certification. If you ever need guidance on where to start, you'll have your personal alumni advocate, who again is me. As the alumni advocate, I work with CPTM alumni to ensure they're making the most of their certification. I'll keep you informed about the benefits available and consult with you on opportunities for ongoing professional growth. Once you are certified, you'll enjoy exclusive access to CPTM specific resources, such as curated e-learning catalogs, job aids, templates, and even a dedicated alumni only job board. You'll also have a chance to connect with other L&D professionals through networking, our networking roundtables. We have a LinkedIn group and a CPTM alumni newsletter. Some of the more popular perks include a free pass to TICE during your first year, and then discounts on all future training industry courses, as well as events and expert guidance to help you maintain your certification with free and paid continuing education opportunities. These benefits are designed to ensure that your certification is really just the beginning of your professional growth with us here at Training Industry.
Yeah, TICE is one of my favorite perks as well. Okay, now that everyone has gotten a great background in the history and the process of certification, let's get to why we're all here today, right? What are the advantages of certifying, and what are we really going to get from the program? I am happy to introduce our panel of speakers that are going to talk about just that. Today we have with us Heather Balsarek, Senior Manager of L&D at Maximus, Artrell Williams, Manager of L&D at Sumitomo Rubber USA, Willie Novalis Wybert, L&D consultant at Sentient Training, and literally last, but definitely not least, Laura Last, who is now head of global talent at Beijing. I didn't have time to update our slides, but congratulations. Thank you all so much for coming. I am excited to jump into this discussion. I know there's so many insights to the CPTM certification experience this group is going to share. So as we jump into the first question, please feel free to introduce yourself officially as you start your answer. And all right, without any more hesitation, let's start at the beginning of your experience. Why did you consider the CPTM program, and how did you come to making the decision to certify? I'm going to stop sharing.
I guess I'll
Since
go ahead
I
and
was
jump
last,
in
I
on
can jump in here. Um, I'll be first this time. I actually had been considering doing a CPTD through ATD, and there's quite a list of things that you need to do and have to be able to take that. And so I was out searching for other certifications and came across this and was just absolutely very impressed at everything that you all just showed, all of the competencies and the path to getting certification. And I had been in learning and development for quite a while at the point that I was really searching for some sort of a certification. And what I really felt about this one, that it was very applicable to real world. So everything that was in the certification, that I saw in paper as I took the program and went through the certification was absolutely true. But what I really liked about it and why it really stood out to me, I have to say, was really just the true reality. It's real world, and everything within the program can be applied immediately. And there's so many tools and resources that are available, and I've used many of those since I've gone through the certification. But that's what really stood out to me at first.
I am Artrell Williams. And I'm in Buffalo, New York, and as of right now, I am the Learning and the Development Manager with Sumitomo Rubber USA. However, I found out about 2 weeks ago that we'll be shutting down operations in our area, and I'll be open to work. But the plan is to move into some consulting based on some of the things that I learned through this process and what I've learned being in the industry so far. I have been in L&D for over 15 years, and I got my certification at about the 13-year mark. So I was at that point where I was looking for growth. I had been in progressive roles, and there was nothing within my organization that interested me. So I knew and know that I would have to go outside of that organization in order to get what I was really looking for in my career. So I started looking for certifications like Laura mentioned, and I also looked at ATD certifications, but I came across this one first. And I ended up taking the training needs assessment course first. And I really appreciated that course through training industry. So then I decided that I was going to take the learning needs assessment, or excuse me, the leadership development course. And at the end of each of the courses that I took, there was a plug about CPTM, and I would meet other CPTMs along the way. And I heard about the experiences of some of the others that had been through it, like the facilitators of those courses. And I figured, because I appreciated those courses so much, I would probably also appreciate seeing the entire thing after I saw the competency model and started to explore those core capabilities. So I decided to jump in and do the CPTM, and I really appreciated the cohort that I was with, interacting with those individuals and kind of finding out what they had in mind and what their experiences were along the way, supporting one another through the process. And then I took the test and passed and reached back out to some of the others and tried to encourage them. And I think everybody who went through my cohort also passed right around the same point. So not only, I'm one of those journey instead of destination type people, and I appreciated getting there, and I love being here, but I really like the interactions and the learning and all of that that took place leading up to it. And the now that I'm CPTM and get to engage with the alumni stuff that Peter talked about, also having that experience of speaking with others and seeing what they're doing in their careers and being able to support one another, because we work on projects together and talk to each other and answer questions. So the entire process has been great for me.
Go ahead, Willie.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Willie Navales-Weibert, and I am a consultant, and I started consulting in 2023 while I was still a full-time employee at a small IT company in San Antonio, Texas. And April of this month, I jumped in with both feet into consulting. And actually, my old company is one of my biggest clients, so that kind of helps. But why CPTM? Well, I was looking for training management training. And I often will say that I suffer from imposter syndrome, and I had been promoted. And so I wanted to know what I was doing correct and what I could do better. And training industry was the only certification that I could find that had practical training topics that I felt I would be able to use in my day-to-day work experience. And it actually panned out exactly like that.
Right, so I'm Heather Balsaric. I am in Clearwater, Florida. I have been in learning and development in some form or fashion for almost 20 years, which is weird to say. But it's always just been something that I've gravitated toward. And I won't say that I considered CPTM. It was kind of thrust upon me. I started a role at Amazon, and my manager, the week I started, was actually attending virtual TICE. This was during COVID. So, and she had gotten her CPTM, and my skip level, she had gotten her CPTM, and they were like, Heather, we want you to go through this. Like, they saw something in me and wanted to invest. And so they said, here, pick a date, sign up, go. And so I knew nothing. Coming in, it was, like I said, thrust upon me, and one of the greatest decisions anybody else has ever made for me, and said, go do this certification, because I've learned so much. So.
Love that. And actually, maybe, in kind of segueing into the next section or next question, this is a good place to go. So, you were told you're taking this program, pick a date. What was your experience before, during, and after? So someone who just, we can start there.
I mean, I didn't really have any expectations other than, I mean, I love to learn. I mean, I think if you're in learning and development, that's just I think it's a requirement. You have to love to learn. And so I was just like, let's do it. Let's go. And, before it was, doing all of the modules and things, and there's a lot of prep work and it can be a little intimidating. The practicum, it's 4 days and you're in it to win it, and it can feel overwhelming. Um, and I was nervous. I was like, there's so much, like, how am I going to learn everything and put everything into practice? What am I going to do? I don't want to lose this information. How am I going to not lose it? Um, but coming out of it, I felt like, I had to take some time to let it marinate and just sit, and it took a little bit before, I would start to do something and go, oh, wait a minute, I learned something about, let me go grab my book, because I'm a paper person, so I had the book printed. And so I got it out and figured out my sticky notes, and that was it just kind of organically happened. Like, I use all of the information. Could I recite everything verbatim? Well, no, but it's all there. And when I need it, it it comes. And so, now after the program, my expectation is that I just keep learning. I just keep learning more in the moment and being able to apply these principles, and then, getting to, you know, do other certifications and learn more from the other alumni and people. So that's kind of where my experience has taken me.
I would say in my situation, the before portion would be I was in order taker mode, and I would respond to whatever the senior leadership or the heads of departments, what they asked me for, and that's what I did. I thought that was my job. And a lot of times I had questions and thought, this probably isn't the best idea, but okay, it's their department and they know best. And so during CPTM, that was really the first time that somebody not so much gave me permission, but said, "Hey, you should be asking these questions." And so I after went back and although your first instinct is to jump in and make a million changes, change is really difficult for people, and so you have to pick and choose specifically like which pieces you think you're going to be able to incorporate into your day-to-day, and what folks within your company and your department and what they will accept a lot easier. And so that's what I did. I took small steps, but made lots of changes in the last 3.5 years since I earned my CPTM.
I really wanted the program to be intense. I wanted it to be one of those things that I wanted to feel accomplished after I had gone through it. And I was hoping coming in that it wouldn't be one of those things where you just pay your money and then you already know the information and you take the test, you passed it, and you're like, I paid for a certification, but I don't really feel like I got anything out of it. And it was intense enough for me. My expectations were exceeded when it came to that because I learned a lot, but I was glad to know that I knew more than I thought I knew. I was glad to know that there was some validation in many of the actions that I had taken in my role, because I was just doing what I thought was the right thing to do. I was already a training manager when I went through the certification, but I was kind of winging it. And I was doing some of the stuff that I had done with other organizations, but there wasn't a lot of method to it. I just mimicked some of my previous actions and did what I thought were the right things to do. But then going through the course, I understood how it all came together. I understood the importance of many of those actions and that they weren't just things to do because, but I'm big on alignment. And so it helped me to align some of the actions that I was already taking, but then I also knew that I needed to add other things. So if you take 8 capabilities or whatever, I was probably pretty good at 4 of them. And then the other 4, I really had to learn a lot more about. And since then, I propped up a new LMS with my organization. I started doing other activities to support the things that I already had in place. I put together a well-designed 3-year plan for my department and outline behaviors for me and the people on my teams. So I started to display a lot of things that I didn't know the importance of displaying. And that helped keep me aligned with the other actions that I had. So once I went through this, I saw the 8 capabilities and I said, I want something like that for my department. So I got something designed, put all the content in there using AI. And then that kept me on track. So I was always able to go back and look at that model that I put together for my department and said, is what we're doing right now aligned with this overall vision that you've created? And is this something that we need to modify to make it align? Or is this something that we may not need to do at all? Because the place that I was working is accustomed to firefighting. And that kind of helped get me out of firefighting mode and say, let's be a lot more proactive with what we do. Let's make sure that it aligns. And my boss was happy with the model that I had. So if I got something that I didn't want to do, I would take it to him and I said, look, it doesn't fit. You know, I don't want to be in firefighting mode all the time. I don't want to be reactionary. I've already told you what my vision is for the department. So let me stick to that. And it helped me be able to push back on some of those things that didn't add value to our experience.
I'll jump in here last. I realized that I didn't reintroduce myself when I started. I just jumped right in, but I'm actually with Beijing, which is a biotech company that focuses on oncology. And I've also been in learning and development for over 20 years. And I found this very much, Artella, I think you really, spoke very well about exactly what the certification was like and what it brought to you and to your organization. I feel like it was very similar for me. More tactically, the pre-work and that type of thing. Yes, to your point, it was very intense and you really had to focus on it. If you've already been in learning for a long time, I think it just does reinforce a lot of what you know, and reminds you of some of those things you might have already learned in the past. I found the during the practicum and the project and that type of thing to be absolutely fantastic. The instructor was great, really brought real world things. Again, to me, it was really about the practicality and the application, that this wasn't just theoretical, it was what you could actually do in your day-to-day job. And Artrell, to your point, again, it was kind of going back and going, oh, okay, I am doing the right thing, but now I know what to call this, or I know how to put a structure around it, and I know how to show it to other people that makes more sense versus me just trying to talk about it, right? And so I completely agree with what you said. And then after, what I found is I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what is a CPTM? And other people have gone through the program at my prior organization and current organization because of it and because of the things that I've been able to talk about and show, just like you have, Artrell. So, and I feel like it's added that validation to what I already know when you have that credential behind your name. And I wrote that in the chat. So if you've been doing this for 20 years, yeah, that's great that you've been doing it, but to be able to say, I have this certification, and with this new role that I just took within my organization, I actually helped to write the job description for the new role. And one of the things I put in there is that, you should be a CPTM. So I think that very much shows how valuable I thought this was.
Awesome. And I like, highlighting the experience and going through it, that pre-work, it takes time, it's committed. The practicum itself it's involved. You're there for those days. It's so wonderful to hear about those kinds of experiences. Okay, let's take it a little bit further. We started to talk about the impact. So how has the impact or how has the certification impacted your career goals or your organization's goals?
So I will say that, as I said before, that previous to CPTM, I was an order taker, and I felt very reactionary, kind of like Artrell was saying, and I learned so much through CPTM. And I was so excited to make all these changes. And I knew, though, that when you work with other folks, especially senior leaders, that they don't like to be told that they're doing things wrong, or that there should be a better way to do it, or that I know there's a better way to do it. And so I had to start asking questions. And when someone would say, hey, we need a training for this. I knew then at that point, and I would ask the right questions. I went ahead and I had also done the workshop, the needs assessment workshop. I did the strategic thinking one workshop. And so I had a lot of tools now. And what I did was when someone would ask for a specific training, I would start asking questions like, so how is this related to your strategic goal? How is this going to advance your department? What is your true goal? And then to have the conversation about, was it really a training that you needed, or was it something else? And, or was it, you know, your target audience was not correct, but just having those conversations and asking the right questions. And what I found was that as time went on, I would have senior leaders saying, oh, during this meeting, we were talking about we needed X, Y, and Z. And so said, oh, well, have you talked to Willie? And so my name kept coming up. And eventually they invited me to those meetings so that I could then give my input. And as it didn't happen overnight. All right, it did not happen overnight. It took about 18 months to 2 years to actually, you know, get folks to start seeing me as a trusted advisor and asking me those questions and including me in those conversations and having a seat at that table. And during that time, I was a director, and a position opened up for a VP. And I honestly can say that had it not been for the CPTM and how I changed my approach to how I was doing things and how I was interacting with senior leadership and employees, it never would have even been a possibility in my mind that, okay, I can do this. And when I was actually asked and said I was the only candidate, I was really surprised, and I was nervous, but I knew that I had the tools and I had access to resources because the CPTM community is amazing. And so I went ahead, I took the promotion, and after that, it gave me that confidence that I needed to say, you know what, I can actually do this on my own. And there's some things that I really, really love to do. And I want to just focus on those things, and went ahead and started consulting. Again, not something I ever would have considered doing pre-CPTM. And I'll say that all of the resources are amazing. TICE, this last TICE, the Training Industry Conference and Expo, if it hadn't been for that, I walked in thinking AI was going to be like the death of me because I'm too old to learn all this stuff. And walking away from TICE, I felt so empowered. And now AI is one of my main tools, and I know how to utilize it, and I know how to incorporate it. I think that again, not if it hadn't been for CPTM, I never would have gotten to the position within the company or consulting and having the company be my biggest client.
I mean, I love that answer, obviously.
I'm glad that Willie made that point, that we have to be patient about the results. It really depends on your relationship with senior management and the maturity of your organization and your learning organization itself. There's just so many factors involved with that. And that's the same that I think about the prep time, is that when people ask that, it's kind of hard to give a true answer because it really depends on a lot of factors, similar to what you might have done prior to taking the CPTM. If you were an instructional designer, there's still like 7 other capabilities that this program focuses on, and it depends on how much you've used the others. If you only did instructional design, then you may have a bit more work to do. If you've had to do delivery and design and some other stuff, if you propped up LMSs and you had to be the one behind the scenes doing that stuff, then you may not have to focus as much of that time when you prepare for this certification. So it really is relative. But I put in the chat that consistency is the key, and taking the opportunity to apply what you go through. So once you learn a new concept, introduce something to your organization and make a commitment to do something with that, even if they haven't asked you to. If you say, hey, I want to brush up on my skills, and this also will hopefully answer the questions that came up about how do you use this to move into another role. If you show that you can apply these skills, if you understand the language of the business too, but then start to help the business understand the language of your business, and you let them know that you're a subject matter expert. So when you come out there and you start talking about, organizational capacity or whatever, and they say, wow, this person's saying words that I'm not quite familiar with, he must know what he's talking about, or she must know what she's talking about. They understand that you are a subject matter expert in your thing, because a lot of organizations just believe that training is just an add-on department that you have to have because people have it, but they don't understand the value that the function can bring to their organizations. But when you start coming to them and you show them that you understand that one of the goals of leadership is to drive efficiency through the organization. So I've got a program that I want to put together that's going to help drive efficiency, or I've got a program that's going to help reduce waste because I know that that's going to help with your bottom line. And when they know that you understand their goals and objectives, and you're trying to do things that help support those goals and objectives, then they become more receptive to the methods that you try to introduce to them as to how you want to do it. Because gamification, for example, they're afraid of the word, but then when I go to them and I say, I'm creating a learning activity that happens to be a game, but what I'm trying to do is increase the institutional knowledge about this topic so that we can drive down the cost of waste because people don't know the topic. So it just happens to be a game, but it's not about playing. It's about helping your people learn. And it's not just about having fun. It's about making the knowledge stick so that then they will go back and apply it when they have to use it on the job. So those are ways that you can help communicate to your business that you know what you're talking about and they don't. You are the subject matter expert, and you don't expect them to know learning any more than you can be expected to know operations, but you have a general understanding of it, and you know how the two go together, and you know how to apply it in your setting.
Yeah, no, please. I was going to say, anyone else, that was super informative.
It's hard to follow Willie and our trail, I'll tell you. They have such good stories and application. For me, the certification and the way that it's impacted kind of my career is probably obviously on the job. It's been a huge asset because I've been able to apply the different pieces of it, and it's really helped me, like when I've come into an organization like I'm in now, and I see that, okay, well, we don't really have standard metrics and learning analytics. And okay, so I'm being that kind of champion for that. So I'm really pulling on the things that I've learned in CPTM. Whereas there's been other times of building brand new, programs that I've leaned on, that part of CPTM. But like outside of it, the opportunities that I've had to meet people, that everybody has talked about the network already. But being at Tice, so being at Tice has been huge for me. I went the first year just as a participant, and I met a vendor. I was in the middle of trying to put together a program with like personalized pathways for people. And so I went to Actio Learning, had a segment there about learning pathways. And I was like, oh, I got to be here. I got to go in here and see how to do this. And so I met Brian from Actio, and after the session, went and talked to him at the table. And I had just hired 2 people for my team. So it was just me really at this point. And Brian offered to be a sounding board for me. And we had such good conversation, and I kind of told him what I was up against because it's an executive program. And so he gave me some ideas of things that I could do. And after Tice, we stayed in touch. We met a couple more times, and he kind of mentored me and helped me do a couple of different things with my program. So fast forward to June of this year, I'm back at Tice, being able to speak at Tice and bring back and teach, bring some lessons back that I had learned over the past year in putting the program together. And I got to see Brian again and got to share with him what I did and kind of where I was going with the next phase. And he goes, "Oh, you know what you could do with that?" And he gives me another idea that I'm implementing in the program now. And so, and just all of the just people that I've met and opportunities that I've been given to speak, and to write articles and to be on podcast and just get out of my comfort zone and do something that and share what I love, which is learning and development. It's been such an awesome opportunity, and it's really impacted that part of my life in so many ways.
I think for me, the biggest thing that has happened with it is that, obviously Marissa introduced that I have a new role as of Monday. And I came from an organization I'd been at for 15 years, and we had been in a federated learning model, which I didn't help set up. I had come in and to the training area after it was done. I kind of had a pretty good understanding of decentralized and centralized and federated models. But when I went through the CPTM program, there was a lot of talk about it, and there were, visuals about it and what it really meant and the pros and the cons and things like that. And I had come to Beijing and been at the organization for a couple of years and had really been, reviewing and seeing everything that was happening in the other learning and development functions, and realizing that obviously, we were very decentralized. I was not used to that. Everybody was doing their own thing, and I was seeing all kinds of duplication and repetitive things and multiple technologies and systems and all of that. And so I was able to use the models and the structure that the CPTM offered and all the different tools and resources. And I put together a presentation last year around this time for our SVP of HR. And I took the presentation to him and I said, "Hey, here's where we currently are," and kind of went through the implications of it. And I said, "Here's a few of the things that we've tried to hold hands on, not really super effective because it wasn't structured. And here's what a federated model of learning would look like at the organization." And I happened to hit on it at a very opportune time that we had just started working on financial excellence and a path to profitability in a relatively young company. And he scratched his head and was like, "Wow, I can really see this," our Charles Point and Willie's as well, of how it would impact the entire enterprise and the business and becoming more effective and efficient. And so he put together a business transformation project around it. We did a lot of interviewing of different learning leaders in the organization, and lo and behold, a new role of head of talent development and enterprise learning was created. And because of the confidence, I will say too, that I got with CPTM, knowing that I was right and that I was looking at the right things, here I am in this role now as of Monday. So how has it impacted me and what has it done? Definitely has made a huge difference.
That's awesome. I love hearing all of these answers. I love hearing how people are able to contribute and how they're, even just kind of building your own roles out of these. Okay, so we'll do our last question and then we'll take, there's lots of questions in the chat, so there's lots of stuff going on there. But any advice for someone considering the certification if they're, I guess, maybe on the fence about it, which is a good reason why people might be joining us here today?
Let's do it. You won't regret it. But really, it has been such a powerful influence in my career that I think at any level, you're going to walk away with so much more knowledge And affirmation as well, as Artel and Laura have said, that confidence, and I know what I'm doing. I know how to explain what I'm doing and why. The why was really important, and being able to show, for example, I started a new employee orientation and onboarding program, and that's one of the things that my company has me continuing to come back to do for them, because I went through and I said, there is no fluff here. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm doing this. And all connected to our strategic goal, all connected to where the company wanted to be and who the company wanted to be and what our culture was, and how do we continue to develop that. And all of that confidence to be able to do any of that came from having the CPTM. And I have a lot of other certifications, like probably the rest of the panel does. And I will say 1000% that the CPTM, out of all of the certifications that I have, was the only certification that I received exactly what I needed in terms of practical here's how you hit the ground running. Here's the information. And my language completely changed. How I expressed what learning and development was, what we were doing, how we were doing it, why we were doing it. It all changed because of the knowledge that I received. It wasn't overnight. And I had to keep going back to my notebook. I had to keep going back to my notes. But I also was able to reach out to the instructor. I was able to put questions on the CPTM LinkedIn page, and having my colleagues then start asking me questions, that blew my mind. And so the fact that now people are actually seeing me as the subject matter expert, and they're respecting me for the knowledge and skills that I have and what I bring to the table, and all of that CPTM, I would say, is responsible for. So like I said, just do it. You have nothing to lose and so much to gain.
I agree. Just do it. There's no tool out there that doesn't need your usage of the tool to be successful. There's nothing that you can get. You can get a hammer and it's nothing by itself just sitting on the table. You have to pick it up and you have to use it. An iPhone, whatever it is, you have to use it if it's going to have any value to you whatsoever. So if you have evaluated this program and you know that encompasses things that are going to be valuable for you in your roles and in your career, then the only reason it wouldn't be worth it is if you don't use it. So you get it. And like Willie just mentioned, refer to it, understand when you can apply it in your world, and then communicate to people how you're using it. And that piece of it is going to be important too, because if nobody knows what you're doing or why you're doing it, then they probably don't see the value in it either. But if you can help them understand that the reason why I'm doing these things is to support what you as an organization need to have done. I understand your strategic objectives, and I'm going to align mine with that. And when we can achieve this alignment throughout the various functions, because training is just one of the organization's functions that a lot of times is an afterthought. If you had to have them prioritize all the different things that they have going on as leaders of an organization, training will be further down the list. But when they understand that if your recruitment activities don't align with your training activities, if the training activities don't align with the job functions themselves, if the job functions don't align with the organization's objectives, if you don't have alignment across these various functions, then you're not going to have a successful organization, or as successful as they could be. So then you show them how your alignment within that process will help the organization be successful, and it'll help you get whatever out of it you need to in your careers. So as far as the investment goes, I had to look at it, and I put in the chat that this is one of the things that I paid for out of pocket, but I have to go back and look for sure, because there are a few of them that I did pay out of pocket. And for those that have that as a concern, I just encourage you that if you're like me and you have a drink every now and then, or you pay for cable TV and you pay for all these other things that you don't necessarily have, if you add up the costs of that and compare it to the cost of this, and know that with this, there is a return because I have received more compensation, because I was able to go through the certification and establish myself as someone who knows what they're doing in my field. And I've earned it back a few times. So don't let the cost be the thing that deters you, because I had to make the decision that I wasn't going to let my company tell me that I can't grow. I wasn't going to let my company determine how far I could grow within that organization or within the industry. And I took the reins. And once they saw that I was passionate about learning and development and taking what I learned and bringing it back to the organization, then they started to support more of what I did. But before that, all they had as a reference was the people who trained before me. And the people who trained before me stood in front of the room in front of a PowerPoint presentation. And after 30 minutes, they let them leave or whatever. And that was the end of it. And I showed them that there were other ways to go about doing this. And when you show them that that you can add value to their success, then they'll help add value to yours.
Well said, Artrell. I love that. And I would say the exact same thing as you and Willie, just do it. I don't remember if I paid for it myself or not, but I agree with you. It's come back in multiple fold. And so I wouldn't let that be something that you know, let get in the way for sure. So as you were talking, Artrell, I had a funny story from this week. You know, I started this new role on Monday, and on Tuesday, just fortunately, we had an HR leadership team meeting. So I was sitting there with lots of executives and my new SVP of HR boss, and we were going through the strategic pillars for HR for 2025 to 2030. And then the person that did the presentation had the outcomes on the side. And she said, well, these are HR outcomes. This is what we want to do based on these pillars. And as I read them, I was like, no, these are business outcomes. And, you know, we had a pretty in-depth discussion and kind of went back and forth quite a bit about, well, this is HR, this should be our outcomes. And I said, if we don't have business outcomes, then why are we here? That's our whole job, is to impact the business. And I can tell you, you know, yes, I understood that, but going through this and this program and really understanding all of what you just articulated, Artrell, it was so, I felt so strongly about it and was able to articulate it very well. And, you know, here I am again with a whole new team, and they've all been here a while, and executives, and they all were like, she's absolutely right. And, you know, then the SVP starts saying, yeah, these have to be business outcomes. You know, this isn't about what we do. This is about how we impact the business. And it was just really interesting to see that shift. And I wouldn't have had that confidence to be able to do that with a brand new team if I hadn't gone through this. And so if that helps anybody make a decision, then, you know, it was just a great validation for me. And I thought about this program as I was talking during that meeting. So.
And they all gave great advice. And so I'll give you some advice thinking, you know, we've all talked a lot about the different things we've done and how we've put it into practice, and that it's a lot and it can feel overwhelming. Just know that it's not about putting it all into practice on day one. It's really about doing and what you can where you currently are. So as you get your certification, you're, you know, depending where you are in your organization, you may get it and not be able, you can't go change the world on day one. Pick one thing that you can do. And again, and then things will start to pull in and they'll grow from there.
Awesome. Thank you. So that was all of our formal questions. We do have a few on here, and I know Artrell addressed some of them. I guess there's one on here I want to talk about is recertification. Someone had asked about recertification. We do require 24 hours every 2 years to recertify. I don't know if someone maybe would like to highlight what you like to do, recertification ease.
So for the formal recertification, where you put in, you know, the information, Peter, since this is your area, it's 24 hours. But if you go to TICE, you're done. So I do TICE. I don't have to worry about anything else, but I do plug in all of the other things that I do just to keep track of. There's a lot of programs, webinars like this, different trainings that you can attend, workshops, and featured executive. There's lots of things that you can do and participate in that will count towards your 24 hours. That is the least issue that I've had in terms of recertification. It has not been an issue at all.
Yeah, we have lots of different options for someone to get free credit hours just aside from TICE. So that's certainly something that's available to you. But definitely TICE, I would say, is one of the fastest ways to complete your 2-year recertification period. Something else, I know that we're getting close to time. There's been a lot of questions that were asked. All the questions are answerable. So Marissa and I will be in contact with you all also afterwards to answer any questions we don't get to now. So definitely be on the lookout for Marissa and I to reach out to you. Yeah, go ahead, Marissa.
No, I mean, yes. And also courses at trainingindustry.com. And Peter and I will actually reach out with those more technical ones. I do want to ask while we have the panel here, for some of these. Oh, okay. Given my existing certificates and credits with both ATD and Training Network, how will choosing one organization over the other pursue the certified professional and training management, impact my professional development and career opportunities? And I think few of you can answer that one.
As I said previously, there's lots of different certifications that you can do, and lots of certifications that I have done in the last 20 years. But CPTM is going to give you that practical knowledge and that confidence that you need to really become a trusted advisor at your organization.
Okay. We just some general, we have outside is this US based. This is a US based. We do offer practicums in time zones to hit as many time zones as possible. So if you are not US based, just know we also have quite a few practicums available in your time.
Sure, and something else just to go on that we have CPTMs in over 50 countries across the globe, and over 2,000 CPTMs who've gone through the program. So definitely, it's not just a US-based certification. It's a certification that you should look at as being used within your role. So it's multiple different industries as well. That was something I saw earlier as a question. Is this going to fit for my industry? Well, it will. The way that we went about collecting our research was we reached out to thousands of learning and development professionals in over 30 different industries. And that wasn't something we mentioned earlier, but that is something. So it's pretty expansive in its reach in terms of geography as well as industry.
Awesome. I'm typing answering one right now. Someone, Ashley had asked, before we do the exam, are there practice exams that you can do? And the answer is yes. I see lots of nodding heads here too. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about the exam. Does anyone want to say anything to maybe help ease jitters? You've gone through it and certified.
I will say that the biggest thing to do, again, just do it. I would do it. That's what Peter said, everything that you go through in the course is completely setting you up to be successful for the exam. So the worst thing you can do is put it off because it's fresh in your memory, and you can, it's not as difficult as you think. And I love that you mentioned the pass rates, Peter, because I think that's just a testament to the fact that, you're set up for success. Still nerve-wracking, but
And we have assessments in each of the modules as you work through them, and you can always go back through the modules again. So I'm curious to know if any of those here today have gone through any of the modules multiple times as opposed to just one time.
Yes, definitely multiple times, and still as reference. right? Sometimes I go back and go, wait a minute, as Laura was talking about the federated and centralized and decentralized, and okay, wait, what? Which one was which? Okay, now I know. And again, because it has all of the explanations for each of them, it allows me then the language to say, okay, so currently you are at this, using this model. Have you considered this? And so very, very helpful.
Perfect. Well, everyone, we are just about at time. I know we could keep talking for another hour about CPTM and all your stories, but thank you all for being with us today. Marissa, Peter, thank you both as well. If anyone does have any lingering questions we didn't get to, you can reach out to that email in the chat, courses@trainingindustry.com. And for now, I would like to invite you all to some other upcoming webinars and demos with us this month. You can register for these programs and watch past events now at trainingindustry.com. If you are interested in learning more about CPTM, make sure to visit trainingindustry.com/training to learn more about the program and how it can help you achieve your career goals. And I'd also love to meet you all in person in Raleigh, North Carolina for our next TICE conference. TICE is where learning leaders like you gather to make new professional connections and learn from each other. You can register now. Advanced early bird registration is open through the end of December. Learn more at tice2025.com. Lastly, again, a brief evaluation survey should have popped open in another browser for you when you exit today's event. Again, we'd welcome any feedback you have for us on today's event. Again, thank you so much to all of our speakers on today's call. For now, I'm Sarah Gallo of Training Industry, and I hope you all have a great day.